Hey guys, Solid here. Welcome back to another episode of Adventure News where we talk the latest, the greatest, and sometimes the hated adventure and dual sport stories. And Harley Davidson have released full details on their Pan America. It's a very divisive bike, and for Harley Davidson, this really could be a sink or swim motorcycle. So let's dive into all those specifications, roll that intro, and get straight into it. So let's just dive straight into the specifications and get that out of the way so we can get an idea of what this bike is all about before I do a deep dive on how I think it's going to do and the benefits and problems I see that Harley will face with this motorcycle. So the big specs are obviously that it's using the brand new Revolution Max liquid cooled V-twin motor, which pumps out 150 horsepower at 9,000 RPM and peak torque is 127 Newton meters at 6,750 RPM. So already you can see there that it's quite a high revving motor, which is a departure from Harley Davidson's usual engine characteristics. They've clearly put a lot of effort into this being a bike that will please more than just Harley fans and making motor characteristics that people are more familiar with. And in fact, those power figures are pretty great for a Harley Davidson. If this is a very modern motor making very modern power figures, so that's great to see. So your big question is probably what's the weight? Well, in metric terms, the weight is going to be 254 kilos for the Australian model. I do need to highlight that the Harley only comes in the top spec model for Australia. In America, you get a standard version and you get a special version. So we only get the special version in Australia. So the weights in America for the base model, it's 534 pounds. And for the special model, which is the Australian version, it's 559 pounds. Now to put that in perspective, a 1250 GS is actually 549 pounds. So the base model Harley, surprisingly, weighs less than the GS does. So that just completely blew me away. I was expecting this bike to be far heavier than the competition. So that really is a feather in Harley's cap, in my opinion. That is a win for Harley that they've been able to keep the weight down, particularly with their reputation as it is for heavy bikes. So you're probably all wanting to know the price as well. The Australian price is $31,990 right away. That's the quoted price here in Australia. So your base model in America will be $17,139. Your top spec model will be $19,999. So those prices were very expensive, especially here in Australia at $32,000. That is comparable to the price of a GS or the fully spec'd out KTM or say a Multistrada from Ducati. So it certainly isn't exorbitant within the realm of expensive adventure bikes. Fuel capacity is a very important thing for a big adventure bike, particularly because, let's be honest, most of their time is long road touring. They're more road tourers than they are off-road bikes. Most guys are going to do big long distance road tours with some dirt roads mixed in. The Harley has 21 litre fuel tank. That's fantastic. And for the imperialists out there, the size of the petrol tank is 5.6 gallons. So that is a pretty decent size. It's almost the same size as what you get on the KLR, which is absolutely ginormous. Of course, you also get nice things like a TFT screen. Apparently cruise control is standard on this Pan America, which is great. I don't know why all big adventure bikes don't come with standard cruise control. It's such a great feature when you're doing those long rides and you need to rest your arms a bit. It really is a lifesaver. So great that that is a standard feature on the Harley. We can get a few optional extras for the top spec bike. So if you don't like the cast wheels that come standard with the up-spec Harley here in Australia, you can get as an option tubeless spoked wheels, which is fantastic for those of you that will be spending more time in the dirt. That will really pay for itself in the long run. The other thing is you can also upgrade to adaptive suspension. So that'll be great. That'll be electronically adaptive. So very similar to what you see on a GS or a KTM, where with a flick of a button, you can go through comfort, sport, enduro. The fact that it's not standard on the top spec model is a bit of a head scratcher, but I'm not surprised. That is a move that Harley is renowned for, is you have to dive into their aftermarket catalog if you want the bike to be spec'd the way it should be. So that was my experience with the Sportster. They really do make a lot of money on the back end in Harleys. Still, it is frustrating, especially at the price it is. I think they should have that standard, not as an extra. There's other electronic features as well that you would expect on a big adventure bike like this. Obviously, I've talked about the standard cruise control, but you get cornering ABS. You get a whole pile of rider modes, so you get road, sport, rain, off-road, and off-road plus. These comes all standard on every version of the bike, so that's great to see as well. So bottom spec for America, you still get all those electronic features. The other little piece of information is that the Harley Davidson will be released in Q3 of this year, 2021. So they haven't given a specific date. So the importance of this Pan America cannot be understated. Harley Davidson basically have to be able to sell this bike in large numbers to be able to put themselves back on the map, because they're in real financial trouble. The riders they usually target for their kinds of bikes are all getting too old to ride, and they're no longer coming back to buy bikes. On the one hand, they've made a motorcycle that is very appealing to a larger audience of people. So I think it really will catch a few people that aren't necessarily Harley initiated, and they will buy the Harley just because it is something different, something fresh. I'm certainly in that camp. I like the look of it. It's just different to every other adventure bike. You pull up at the cafe for your latte and you're going to stand out because everyone else is going to have a GS, a Tenere, a Super Adventure, a Multistrada. So I think just as a point of difference, the Harley will stand out. The problem I can see them having is that price point. Yes, it is going after a different market. So Harley have been smart there. They're going after the adventure riders, but it's still the same demographic. Adventure riders, most of the time, they're usually my age and older. So guys that have been working for 10 years plus, and we already have a bit of money to throw around. So we're not really getting the younger riders in, and that I think is going to be a mistake in the long run for Harley. Of course, I know they've got other models coming up, but I think they should have had an adventure model that is at least a price point that younger riders could get in. Rather than $32,000, I think is going to be a very long stretch to get a mass audience for this bike. I think it will be popular for those guys that do have cash, but like I said, Harley are having trouble. They need to sell as many bikes as they can. So narrowing your options of who you can sell to is never a great idea. So time will tell whether this will be a popular bike. It certainly has the makings of being decent. It's got the right weight. It's not too heavy for a big adventure bike. I certainly don't like the weight of any big adventure bike, but it's fine for where it sits. Ground clearance again is also acceptable for its off-road needs. It's certainly competitive power-wise. I don't know really where to lean on this bike, to be honest. I'm one of those guys that's on the fence. I like the look. I like that Harley have put in a lot of effort here, but I am cautious that one, is the quality there for the harder off-road regular riding? And two, is that price tag a bit too much to keep a lot of people away from this bike? So I'd like to know your thoughts. What do you think about this Pan America? It really seems like every person has a slightly different opinion. Some people love it, some people hate it. Some people are like me, just waiting to see that if it's the sum of its parts. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think about this Harley. Just quickly before the end of the video, I just wanted to announce that I do have a PayPal function on my YouTube channel. So if you do want to donate, you can donate now through the PayPal link on my homepage. I'll throw that up on the screen. So if you want to use that, fantastic. If you don't, no worries. Also, welcome aboard to all the new subscribers that have been pouring in lately. It's great to see the channel growing so fast. It really is snowballing lately. So welcome aboard to our crazy little part of the internet where we love all things dirt. So that's about it from me. Thanks for sticking to the end. As always, don't forget to stay shiny side up, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Catch you later.